Is this the end for Russia's elite? A storm is brewing, and it seems the rats are abandoning the sinking ship. We're talking about Russian billionaires, the oligarchs renouncing their citizenship and fleeing the country. This isn't just a few isolated cases. It's a mass exodus that signals a deep crisis within Russia. So, what's really going on? Let's dive into the chaos that's making Russia's richest run for the hills. The conflict in Ukraine has triggered a domino effect, and one of the most visible consequences is the panicked flight of Russia's wealthiest individuals. Take Oleg Tinkov, the founder of Tinkoff Bank, for example. He openly condemned the conflict, calling it a senseless war, and then renounced his Russian citizenship. He's not alone. Tech billionaire Nikolay Staransky, co-founder of Revolut, also gave up his Russian passport. Yuri Milner, another tech investor, announced he and his family had completed their process of renouncing Russian citizenship way back in 2014. These are not just business decisions. They are powerful political statements. By distancing themselves from the Kremlin, these billionaires are trying to save their reputations and, more importantly, their fortunes from the crushing weight of international sanctions. The West has unleashed an unprecedented wave of economic sanctions aimed at crippling Russia's economy and pressuring the Kremlin. These sanctions are not just targeting the state. They're personal. They freeze assets, impose travel bans, and effectively cut off Russian oligarchs from the global financial system they've long enjoyed. Yachts are being seized in European ports, London mansions are under scrutiny, and bank accounts are frozen. For a class of people whose wealth and lifestyle are intrinsically tied to the global economy, this is a death sentence. Their fortunes, once spread across the globe in luxury real estate, stocks, and offshore accounts, are now under direct threat. The very foundation of their wealth is crumbling. Interestingly, this creates a strange paradox. While some are fleeing and renouncing their citizenship to escape the sanctions, others are being forced back to Russia. Before the conflict, many oligarchs had already moved their primary residences and assets to places like London, Switzerland, or Monaco. But now, with the West turning up the heat, these safe havens are becoming hostile territories. Some are finding themselves unwelcome, with their assets frozen and their business operations hampered. This has led to a bizarre situation where some oligarchs, despite their international lifestyles, are being pushed back into the very country they tried to distance themselves from. It's a strategic squeeze played by Western governments, designed to isolate the Russian elite and increase pressure on the regime from within. The numbers are staggering. A report from Henley and Partners, a firm that tracks wealth migration, predicted that Russia would lose 15,000 millionaires in 2022 alone. That represents about 15% of its entire millionaire population. This is a massive brain drain and capital flight combined. These aren't just people with money. They are often entrepreneurs, innovators, and major employers. Their departure leaves a huge void in the Russian economy. They are taking their wealth, their skills, and their future investments with them. Countries like the United Arab Emirates have become popular destinations, offering a more neutral ground and a secure place to park their assets. This exodus is a clear vote of no confidence in Russia's future. So why are they leaving in such droves? It boils down to a perfect storm of political uncertainty and diminishing opportunities. The current political climate in Russia is seen as increasingly repressive and unpredictable. For the wealthy, who thrive on stability and a predictable legal framework, this is a nightmare. The rules of the game can change overnight. One day, you're a celebrated tycoon. The next, you could be a political pariah with your assets seized by the state. The line between business and politics has always been blurry in Russia, but now it has all but disappeared. The economic landscape is equally grim. With sanctions biting hard and Russia becoming more isolated, the opportunities for growth and profit within the country are shrinking rapidly. Why stay in a market that's contracting and cut off from the world when you have the means to move to a place with a more dynamic and open economy? The risk of staying is simply becoming too high for many. It's a powerful symptom of a deeper crisis unfolding within Russia. When the people with the most to lose are heading for the exits, it signals a profound lack of faith in the country's economic and political trajectory. It suggests that those with the best inside information see a bleak future ahead. The Kremlin has tried to downplay this phenomenon, even labeling those who leave as traitors. But the reality is that this exodus is hollowing out the Russian economy and weakening the very foundation of the regime's power structure, which has long relied on a pact with its oligarchs. This isn't just about yachts and mansions. It's about a fundamental breakdown of trust between the Russian state and its economic elite. The long-term implications are severe. The loss of capital and talent will make it incredibly difficult for Russia to modernize and diversify its economy, especially while under sanctions. It deepens the country's isolation and could lead to a prolonged period of economic stagnation. The social contract, where the population trades political freedom for economic stability, is fraying at the edges. The flight of the super-rich is the most visible sign of this unraveling. What happens when the people who benefited most from the system decide that the system is no longer viable? It's a question that haunts the halls of the Kremlin. The departure of these key figures could inspire others, creating a snowball effect of capital flight and brain drain that will be very difficult to stop. Looking at the broader picture, this situation highlights the fragility of wealth that is tied to an autocratic regime. For decades, Russian oligarchs enjoyed a privileged position, accumulating vast fortunes with the Kremlin's blessing. But that blessing can be revoked at any moment. The conflict in Ukraine has exposed this vulnerability for all to see. The international community's coordinated response has shown that there are few places left to hide for those associated with the regime. This crisis serves as a stark reminder that, in a globalized world, political actions have profound and far-reaching economic consequences. The oligarchs are caught in the crossfire, forced to choose between their loyalty to their country and the preservation of their wealth. As this saga continues to unfold, the world watches to see what comes next. Will this exodus of billionaires be the catalyst that forces a change from within Russia? Or will the Kremlin simply consolidate its power, replacing the old guard of oligarchs with a new, more loyal elite? The story of Russia's fleeing billionaires is not just a tale of the rich and powerful. It is a critical chapter in the larger story of Russia's confrontation with the West and its struggle to define its own future. The empty mansions in London and the abandoned business empires in Moscow are monuments to a system in turmoil. The ship is in chaotic waters, and many of its most prominent passengers have already jumped overboard. The question that remains is whether the ship itself can stay afloat. What do you think about this massive exodus? Is it a sign of the end for the current regime, or just a temporary reshuffle of Russia's elite? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the events shaping our world. See you in the next one.